what are some of the common things that you see that examinees or future examinees could do to help prepare their books for the exam?
So because it's a time-based test, you want to manage your time effectively. So the quicker you can turn to key sections in the code book, the quicker you're going to be navigating your code book during the exam. So tabbing is just a way for you to get to important sections quickly, so that you're not flipping through so many pages. You can get to where you want to go very quickly. Also, there's a lot of information within the code book. So, highlighting and marking keywords is going to be important from a marking of the book perspective. Because it's open book, the more familiar you are with those resources, the better off you're going to be knowing and remembering exactly where to find key information, like guidelines to specific sections, or when you're looking, for example, in CPT, in a family of codes, making sure that you can clearly see where that indentation is to know the parent that goes with all the children, and highlighting those keywords that might be the difference between one code versus another. Anything that's going to draw your eye very quickly to the information so that you're not reading everything, your eyes are clued into those keywords. Because we all know when it comes to coding, one word or a difference in size, for example, when you're in the integumentary system, is going to be the difference between one code answer and another. So this is a way for you to not only have a resource that's well marked and easy to navigate, but you're also learning in the process of seeing what this information is. When it comes to CPT, one of the recommendations I've always made to classes that I've instructed is, we have a lot of guidelines that tell us this is what you should do, and this is what you shouldn't do. I have a color for everything that I can do in the guidelines and a color for everything I can't do, so that I can easily see, okay, let's say that I picked yellow for everything that I can do and pink for everything that I shouldn't do. If I see it in pink and I see that code combination together, I know that that's going to be a wrong answer. So these are just things that help you go into the exam with a strategic focus on how you're going to navigate your materials.
Okay. Now, AAPC code books come with tabs,
Yes.
where you can take the tabs out of the back and put them in the right spot. And I see in our Facebook groups others who they have our books, but they also have colored tabs. What's that about? I mean, is that helpful? I guess it just depends on what that examinee feels like they need to be successful.
It's just what that examinee feels to be successful. So a really good gauge of your readiness for the exams is by taking the practice exams. So I've seen people add those additional colored tabs to areas that they found come up often in those practice exams, or it could have been a challenging section for them on the practice exam. So when you're going through the practice exam and you're reading the rationale and you see where you went wrong, individuals will use some of those tabs to highlight those areas that they had a problem with on the practice exam, so that they fully understand that guideline. Now, what you cannot do is add questions from the study materials into your code books. So this is a question we get a lot about what can be written in books and what can't be written in books. So I'm going to touch on that a little bit, Alex, because I know that was one of the things you wanted me to touch on, and then see if any other questions come in about tabbing.
There was a question about that. Tanda Emanuel says AAPC allows a lot of notes in your code sets or code books. Explain what can I write in a code book for my exam?
So the intent of allowing handwritten notes is because as you, not just from an exam prep perspective, but more importantly, as a work perspective, if I've spent time researching something, I don't want to have to research it again for work, right? So I am going to make a notation in my code book of what I learned in my research or how I applied that guideline so that I don't have to re-look it up every time. So this is more in line with work product as well as exam product. So they're just meant to be helpful tips or key distinctions between one section or another, or if it is a terminology word that you had to look up that you didn't know what that word was, or what that procedure is, or what the diagnosis is, this is your opportunity to make helpful notes to yourself. It is not intended for you to regurgitate all of the information from our study materials into your book. So if you have extensive notes and it looks like it's material reproduced from the study guide or questions from our practice exams, that will disqualify your book for being used during the exam. So it's a fine line, and it's really, really hard for AAPC and proctors to enforce this rule because of, it's either we don't allow any writing at all, or we allow some writing, and then what is some writing that's acceptable. So this puts a challenge to our proctors, and they do a fantastic job doing book checks to find information that's not appropriate. So if you have in mind what the intent of those notes should be, hopefully you're not over notizing your book, if that is even a word, to make your book come into question.